Alright, what's going on, guys? Throwback again, here to bring you another video. This one's going to be doing another throwback review for one of my all-time favorite cartoon series, and that is of the 90s X-Men, the animated series. Da-na-na-na-na. Da-na-na-na. Da-na-na-na. Da-na-na. Da-na-na-na. Na, 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 na. So there's my best impression I can make of the X-Men animated series intro. Now, if you want to get hyped for a cartoon show, son, you have to watch the X-Men the animated series theme or intro theme. I love that theme, man. It is like on the same level as Batman the animated series, but for X-Men. So like the soundtrack like fits with X-Men. You know, when you hear it you think X-Men because it's got, you know, the different levels to it, the excitement building, you've got the slashes of the Wolverine's claws and the sound. Oh man, that intro is one of the absolute best of any cartoon I have ever seen. So this is one series that I actually do own on DVD. I did buy it a few years ago. I don't buy many series on DVD nowadays. I don't actually own Batman the Animated Series on DVD or most of the others from the 90s because, I mean, you can find all this stuff on the internet nowadays. I mean, I do support Marvel and DC, but there's an extent. Like, I buy a lot of Marvel and DC stuff as it is. And, you know, it gets to a point where you're just like, okay, am I going to spend, you know, $100 on the set for the show, or am I just going to watch it online streaming on some website, you know? Or even YouTube. Some of this stuff is on YouTube. So it's, you know, it's one of those types of things. So that I mostly do that. But this was one that I definitely wanted to pick up, and I got it for a good price. It was like $70 for the entire series. And you can get it on DVDs, and they've got these pretty cool holographic. They remind me of the cards, you know, the holographic X-Men card, like the cards from the 90s, you know, the Marvel cards you could collect. Back in the day, I had a bunch of Marvel cards. I never got that into it, but I know some dudes that they were really into it. They had like all the sets and everything, you know, and they got the really cool holographic look to them. You know, these are really, really cool, and they're embossed nice and, you know, too, like like these parts stick out, like you can feel it in the claws and stuff on Sabretooth and Wolverine here. And then the last one I have, I'm missing the cover for it, unfortunately, but I bought it anyway, even though. So we'll go through them real quick, one at a time, and I'll talk about some of the episodes that I like the best and just my overall take on the series. So probably the strength of X-Men the Animated Series is that you have a superhero or mutant hero, I guess, super cartoon show, right? But instead of you just having like Superman or just having Batman or just having Spider-Man, one character, the strength of the X-Men is that you have so many different characters all, you know, collaborating, working together for the benefit of mutant kind, you know, the good guys all with Professor X and the X-Men. You have great dynamics between those characters. You have some interesting scenarios and dialogue. For example, the relationship between Wolverine and Cyclops and Jean, the addition of Morph as a character who was not in the comic books, who was created for the series, and even to this day, when I think of X-Men, this is the team I think of. It's from the show. The team from the show. Even Morph. You know, coming to get you, Morph. Night of the Sentinels. You know, let's start there. So that was like the first story arc. You had the two parts. Night of the Sentinels from the first DVD. Again with Morph. Wolverine, you know, they have disagreements with Wolverine and Cyclops have disagreements about Cyclops leaving Morph, and we think he's dead, and then later on we find out he's not, but they did do some experimentation on him. Sinister was messing with him and different things of that nature, and you know, nobody ever dies in comic books. But he was a really cool character, a nice addition. Jubilee doesn't annoy me as much as she does some people. She is annoying. I'm not going to say she's not annoying. She is. But she kind of is used in the series as like our intro character into the world of the X-Men. You know, there's so many different characters, so much happening, she kind of is like your viewer character, like your teenager that's just thrown into this world, has no idea what she's going to do, and turns to the X-Men, to Xavier, for help essentially before the Sentinels grab her. So she's not a bad character, I think. Morph is cool. She's not bad. Wolverine. Oh my God, Wolverine is awesome. Wolverine in this series. This is also my favorite Wolverine costume. The tiger stripe '90s Wolverine look. Jim Lee designed. Man, the guy's a freaking artistic monster. Even then, he was a monster. X-Men #1 issue, New X-Men #1 from the '90s, is actually the highest selling comic book of all time. I'm pretty sure that it has not been broken yet. His work, him and Chris Claremont on X-Men in the '90s, they had all these different covers, and basically it was this style. That's where the show got this, the character designs from. And I love all the designs. It looks amazing, and it's the #1 selling of all time for a reason, because it just looks crazy, and it's got all these different characters people can relate to, and the stories are epic. They're epic and awesome and a lot of fun. So back to characters. Wolverine, the ultimate like superhero character badass. Really, I mean, it doesn't get any better than him. Maybe the only one who could rival him is Vegeta from Dragon Ball Z. He's quite the badass too. But Wolverine was never a villain. He never crossed over anything like that. He was always, your good guy, just trying to control his rage. So he's a lot of fun. Rebel without a cause. Joins the team. Argues with Cyclops all the time. Not a bad time. Let's move on to Cyclops. So Cyclops for me is a fantastic character. He's like your Boy Scout, your Superman in the Justice League type character. He's your leader. He always wants to follow the rules. Does what Professor X tells him to do all the time. Makes the judgments for the team, and is a great field leader, and a lot of fun to watch with his optic blast. Obviously, Cyclops, get down. I remember that one from Night of the Sentinels as well, where he like shoot. You guys remember. Storm. Storm is awesome in the series as well too. Another really strong character. A lot of fun to watch, and very well done. Good art with her, and everything with her looks great. Jean. Jean's story arc in this is so tragic and awesome. Just she's excellent. She's great. She's a great character to have in there. The love triangle thing is awesome, and Jean is like, I think she was voted as the #1 greatest female comic book character on IGN. I'd have to check that, but I'm pretty sure in the countdown, either IGN or Wizard named her as the best female comic book character ever created, and I'd have to agree with that. For me, she is the greatest female comic book character, I think, personally. Gambit's a lot of fun. He's an interesting character. His powers are interesting. They're different. And he's a lot of fun to watch with his different things. The French accent, Remy. He's a lot of fun. Rogue, she's great. She's like your Superwoman type character, or Wonder Woman, I guess you could say. She's got, obviously super strength, everything like that, but she's got the edge. She can't touch anybody. Otherwise, she'll end up stealing their powers or knocking them out or whatever the case may be. So she's cool. Beast, awesome. Love Beast, man. He's a great character. Again, just very interesting, very unique characters. The whole intelligent, but he looks like a monster. He's strong. He's all these things. He breaks the mold of what you think of as like some, big, strong type character. He's also got the brains too. So every character in the X-Men are very interesting. Professor X for me, he's like your teacher character. He really feels that role of like a teacher you would have. When you're growing up and stuff like that. And it really feels like these are his students, and he's trying to help them as best he can in mutant kind. And amazing, amazing character. I don't really like what they've done with him in the comic books in the last 15 years in Marvel U, but definitely this is like my favorite version of Professor X. I think he's fantastic. So that's the good guys in terms of most of them. I mean, there's lots. There's more than that, obviously. But, if I talk about every one like this, we'll be here for an hour. Let's go on to a few of the bad guys. Magneto has done really well. A lot of fun. Apocalypse is great. He's got lots of time in this. We've never seen Apocalypse in a movie or anything of the sort, so this is some of the best animated stuff you can see of Apocalypse, aside from maybe like some of the video games and stuff. The Sentinels are awesome. I love the Sentinels a lot in the show. Let's see, who else we got? Nightcrawler's really cool. He's a lot of fun. He's a good guy, though. Blob. We had Sabretooth, who's really good. I mean, there's the roster of characters in this show is humongous. Just huge. The different villains, the different story. Oh, man, it's great. Okay, let's go through some of the episodes real quick. Night of the Sentinels. Oh, can't go wrong with that. Enter Magneto, lots of fun. Deadly Reunions, Captive Hearts, Cold Vengeance, Slave Island, The Unstoppable Juggernaut. Oh, man, love it. The Cure, Come the Apocalypse. Oh, boy. Days of Future Past, Part 1. Days of Future Past, Part 2. The Final Decision. Till Death Do Us Part. You know, you got the time travel stuff going on and One Man's Worth and all that. Oh, man, so awesome. Whatever It Takes, Bishop, Forge. All right, then the second one we get into the Phoenix Saga. Huge arcs. The Phoenix Saga Part 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then there was the Dark Phoenix Saga. We got Out of the Past, again with time travel. Reunion, A Rogue's Tale, Beauty and the Beast. Mojo Vision. Mojo, I don't know. He's okay. Red Dawn, love Omega Red. Soviet, love it. Okay. Repo Man, Soviet Power Supreme. Externally Yours. Okay, what else we got here? Savage Land, Strange Heart, lots of fun there. Sauron, the Dark Phoenix sagas, and this one, the third one. Cold Comfort, you got Iceman, Orphan's End, The Juggernaut Returns, Nightcrawler, Weapon X Lies and Videotape. It's like a Wolverine episode. Whew, can't go wrong with that. One Man's Worth, that's where we're talking about Professor X and time travel. Courage, let's see what else we got. Okay, Part 4, Volume 4. Proteus, Sanctuary, Beyond Good and Evil, Parts 1 through 4. Love some of the episodes where you have long story arcs in this show. Great. Something that a lot of cartoons were not doing. Have Yourself a Morlock Little Christmas, The Lotus and the Steel, Love in Vain, Secrets Not Long Buried, Xavier Remembers, Family Ties. And finally, the final part, Volume 5 here, I believe this is Season 5. Disc 1, The Phalanx Covenant, Phalanx Covenant Part 2, A Deal with the Devil, No Mutant is an Island, Long Shot, Bloodlines, Stormfront 1 and 2, Jubilees, Fairy Tale Theater, The Fifth Horseman, Old Soldiers, you had Cap joining Wolverine in that one, Descent, Hidden Agendas, and then Graduation Day, the final episode, number 76. That one is a really sad episode because it all comes to an end, and everything that happens in that episode is really that's a touching moment when the series finally comes to an end. You know, it's funny when you look back at this series and you realize it's only 76 episodes, but they're so dense and they're so they're at such a high pace that it feels like it's more. Like when you find out that some other series like Dragon Ball Z is, I think it's like almost 250 to 300 episodes, and this is only 76. But in terms of like what happens in both, it's like you almost feel like as much happens in this show as does something like that. That's like 4 times as many episodes, or something like that, something along those lines. It's just, there's no filler. It's all action. It's all excitement, just like the intro, fast pace, everything goes through, the rapid tempo, the great stories, the great characters, the great villains. This one for me is like, a perfect cartoon show. This is like a Saturday morning you can look forward to every week. And when it comes up, it doesn't disappoint. You're just waiting for next Saturday. As soon as one episode ends, I can't wait till next weekend till I can see another episode of X-Men, the animated series. They've tried to replicate it. They had X-Men Evolution, they had Wolverine and the X-Men. Wolverine and the X-Men was not bad. X-Men Evolution was, it was okay. The beginning was slow. Later on, it was not bad. But you had a lot of the characters were kids in that, in high school and that kind of stuff, which I guess makes sense to a certain degree. But this for me is like, oh man, this one for me has a special place in my heart because this is one that I would watch every Saturday after hockey. See, in Canada, we play hockey. In the States, they play football and stuff like that. In Canada, we play hockey, and you're always up early on Saturday mornings for hockey, and Sunday too. So you're awake anyway, get home from hockey, and watch X-Men. At least that's the way it went for me for probably about 6 or 7 years. I've seen every episode of this series at least probably somewhere around 4 or 5 times. And even nowadays, when I put in an episode and I go to watch it again, there's things I don't quite remember about it, but the general story, as soon as I start watching it, I already know, all the major events that are going to take place. And this show for me was really what formed my idea of the X-Men, who they are, before I had a chance to really buy comics when I didn't have money when I was just a kid. I grew up on this show. So for me, for what this show was at the time, I gave Batman the Animated Series a perfect score of a 10 out of 10. I don't see how I could review this show and not give it that. Yes, some of that is bias because of like what I just talked about and the nostalgia of it. And there are some things about it, like some annoying characters like Jubilee and the fact that, Wolverine can't kill anybody, but the Joker couldn't kill anybody either, and I didn't take off points for that in the Batman review. You can't forget what it is. It is a kid's show, so you can't have Wolverine cutting people's faces off and, like a pile of ninjas that have all been ripped apart by him and stuff of this nature. You can't do it. I mean, it's a kids cartoon show. To be able to air it on Saturday morning cartoons, you can't do that. So in terms of score, I'm going to give this one a 10 out of 10. I think the sound is amazing. The visuals and the art style is awesome all the way through. The 5th season has got some issues. The art style was changed and the show was about to be canceled, and it didn't look very good. But the rest of the show was amazing, and the stories, timeless. And they're even still going to be used today. Like next year, we're going to get X-Men Days of Future Past, and there was like I just read, there was a story arc in here that was their own interpretation of Days of Future Past. It is episodes. Let's see here. I'll get them exactly. Darn, will I? Sorry, guys. Yeah, Days of Future Past, first season, issue or episode 11 and 12. So right there, that's how epic these Chris Claremont stories were. And even if they were changed for the cartoon show in some ways, I mean, they kind of have to be in some ways to fit in the time slots and to just condense it and also make it accessible for kids too. So anyway, I think I've gone on for long enough. That's about 17 or 18 minutes with the intro and everything. So, special show for me. Definitely a special show, and one that I felt compelled to get a review up in my channel of. I think anybody who was a 90s kid like me or a late 80s kid growing up in the 90s, this show had to be one of your favorites. Had to be one of your favorites. If you're a comic book fan, you had to have watched this show at least probably once through almost every episode. Had to. It was the best show on when it was on. It was what killed Turtles. In some ways, it was. Kids grew up and they switched from Turtles to X-Men. They really did. Even Turtles started to change some of their themes and things in the show for this to be more similar to this series. Near the end there, you guys can research that and figure out about that yourself. But it is true, they did start to try to change the Turtles because this show was so popular. They wanted to change some of the events at the end there in the series before it got canceled with the Turtles because, the kids like the Turtles were growing up, and this was something that appealed to them more over the long run than just a silly, funny Turtles cartoon. So anyway, I'll call it here. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you thought about X-Men the Animated Series as well. And maybe some of you didn't like it. For me, it was the perfect show at the time. If you didn't like it, feel free to write in the comments below. If you did, if you were like me, throw me a comment below. Let's hear what you have to say about this amazing cartoon show, X-Men the Animated Series. Yes. Do-do-do-do-do. Do-do-do-do-do. Do-do-do-do.